The Skeeter fogger.
Blame cameraman. Look at him evilly. First world mechanic problems? You go to change the oil for the first time, you're like, oh no. There are lots of while you're in there.
Good old while you're in there. That was all.
Hopefully some of y'all will understand that noise. Hey everyone, and welcome back to DC Motorwerks. I got Andy with me today, and we're taking a nostalgic trip down Lamborghini memory lane today. We've compiled a lot of old footage that we have not really done anything with regarding Lamborghinis, and since we have the perfect opportunity of having tons of Lamborghinis here in the current moment, we've got the Verde Draco car, we've got the Nero Nemesis car, we've got Tyler Hoover's old VT Roadster hiding out under the cover over there. And then we've got Ed's Diablo SV as well. Like I said, we have some old footage, and we want to see what this is going to look like as looking back on the past of us. So I remember I filmed at least this part of this video on like a Saturday afternoon or something like that, and can tell I was not very enthusiastic about doing this video. And who knows what else was going on that day.
Sounds like you just woke up.
That's a possibility.
There's the Skeeter fogger.
Yeah, that is the twin turbo white Murcielago that was here for a little while, and
it drank a little bit of oil, just a little.
Yes, I think it was 6 quarts in 100 miles. It does run and drive, and last I spoke to the owner, it is still sitting on his 4-post in his garage, and he still has not decided what to do with it to correct the mosquito fogging situation.
Our intro's come a long way.
Yes. We didn't really have one before.
Hey y'all, welcome back.
Look at this. Look at this empty shop.
Oh, so clean. Look at that floor.
I know, the floor was white. That was before Paul.
Oh, the good old days.
BP.
Today we've got 3 of these lovely Murcielagos in the shop. Just want to take a few minutes and show you around what we're doing to them, and special surprise with this one over here. So this one is a 2007 LP640 Roadster in balloon white. It just came in last week. We got one of our long-term projects. This one is a Rancio Atlas. And this one is a 2008, so LP640 as well, with a matching interior.
It looks yellow on the video.
This one is a 2008.
I know. Blame cameraman. Look at him evilly.
And here we have 2010 670 SV in Rosso Andromeda from Mr. Bolian. Special little treat about this one. Have a look there. Twin turbo Murcielago Roadster. So this one's been sitting for a couple years. It got sent to us to give a full go through.
This was a compression test.
And it does run and drive, so that's always.
It had good compression, didn't it?
It did, but it was a little low compared to factory. Like they actually had, different pistons in it to accommodate for the
Extra compression.
yeah, the extra boost.
Yeah.
We did just finish putting a set of factory wheels back on this car, as the client bought it with these aftermarket 20-inch wheels over here. If there's one thing these cars aren't forgiving about, it's wheels and tires, especially on the E-Gear cars. So the big concern also with these is getting the diameters right on the tires when you change them. Even on the factory wheels, the Pirelli tires were not true to size. So when you would put a Michelin or some of the other tires, the diameter difference between the front and the rear, which is very important for the all-wheel drive, would be different. So the all-wheel drive front differential would be trying to engage constantly and overheat, and it would boil over the fluid and cause you all kinds of problems. So this client elected the right decision here to put on factory wheels so that he doesn't have any added stress. Another advantage is on these, your rotor set screws are actually proud of the rotor, and they sit in the recess of the wheel hub here. And on the aftermarket wheels, they had to remove those so the rotor can spin freely on the hub, which can make it difficult to line up your wheels when you're installing them, or if the rotor isn't sitting flat, you can cause some issues there.
So, first world mechanic problems? Not having your rotor set screws?
Yeah, that's low on a lot of people's priority.
Really not a big deal, but it is annoying when you do it.
Very important on these to run factory wheels and correctly sized tires. I'll raise it up, show you around real quick.
Tires are still hard to get. Almost impossible.
So here under the balloon white LP640, I'll show you some common Murcielago failures, part failures.
Steering racks. This one did leak, I think. We'll see.
Start to separate.
The brake
You
ducts,
see
that's
here.
normal.
See the
Greasy boot.
boot on the CV axles on both sides are leaking.
Oh, that one's pretty
We
bad.
also have the front shocks with the lift system. You can see that one's starting to leak there at the fitting.
The Diablo needs that right now. The silver Diablo.
One of the main leaks on these we see are these steering racks, mainly from this passenger side end seal. This one is also leaking from the control head here.
Oh, yep.
Front diff.
Steering racks always leak.
It's the viscous coupling for the all-wheel drive. You have your torque tube. Sometimes you'll see these seals where they meet leak as well. And if you look up there, that's your E-gear actuator and its associated hoses. We did just spray this one off, but it did have a pretty decent leak. This is your
The E-gear on that
transmission.
car was not very happy.
And here is your E-gear pump. You can
So
see
the
it's
pump kept
leaking.
running.
Some of the
That was
hoses
one
here.
of many things.
Got our oil pan here. These are your two oil feed lines.
Had a
from the
decent
oil
clutch
tank,
life though. I think it was like
which is
40,
repeated.
50%.
Back behind that grommet there, that's the oil drain.
It's only had 2,000 or
This one
3,000 miles
actually,
on
we
it.
pulled the
Oh.
drain.
Mercy oil drain plugs. We keep time certs in stock for that one. The aluminum pan is not very forgiving. Even with less than a factory torque spec, it will take the threads out of the oil pan. We've had to fix those.
Yeah, on the first time we've seen the car.
Yeah, you go to change the oil for the first time. You're like, oh no. And sure enough,
This side of the oil pan is stripped. Got a new pan coming for this one. Some of this is some of your aftermarket. This is your oil feed and oil return for the twin turbo system. Back here, got easy oil filter to access, DC compressor and power steering pump. Back here you can see custom exhaust for the twin turbos. We also did just repair the parking brake on this one. The cable had fallen off of this pulley here.
cable ended up snapping or something, or wasn't it on that car? I know we had to put a parking brake cable on it for something.
Or was
Oh,
the
it had a
black one?
repair kit on it. Remember,
Like-
it had that U-clamp on
Like
it?
fixing your screen door cable.
Yes, that, exactly, yep.
And it stripped out or something. It stretched out of the U-bolts.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't
Oil
hold.
leak here in this corner.
Oh, yeah. Someone left the oil lines somewhat loose by the oil tank there, and it had covered that panel there.
Someone had left the big oil cooler line loose, which is just like this one here. So you can see how well laid out these cars are. Nothing is too terrible to get to. Difficulty is, see here, these cross members are part of the structure. So this is what prevents you from dropping the engine out the bottom, and why it takes such work to get it out the top, as you have to leave the transmission and everything here connected all the way up to the torque tube. So you have to get a really steep angle on the engine to get it out.
Oh, this was
It's the first start of the orange car.
first start after the engine out on the orange car. This one still had its factory secondary cast, which is not very
On the
common.
Arancio car here, we're doing about the same work that the white car will need, minus the twin turbo setup. This car is very original, with only a little over 2,000 miles on it. But from that lack of use, it's developed some leaks around the valve covers and the E-gear actuator and a couple other spots. So this one will be getting its engine removed to address those leaks. So here we have the Murcielago up in the air. Show you what we still have left underneath. Have to pull the axle shafts. I'll pull those from the diff here on both sides. See here, you even have to disconnect the parking brake because it runs through this rear diff mount And we're going to remove this mount in order to have some more clearance to get the engine assembly back before we start tilting it up. You can see here why you have to bring the engine out of the top, because this cross member and this cross member are not removable from the body, whereas your ones further up for the torque tube are removable. So this whole unit, this is the front of the transmission here, or rear, depending how you want to look at it, will stay connected to the engine as it's removed. So you got these oil feed lines to remove, a couple harnesses and a few things left under here, engine mounts. And you'll see, we'll get on video as we remove the engine, the severe angle that's required to clear these rear cross members and pull this whole unit out as one piece. That's why this job is quoted at usually 40 hours or so to get the engine out and do other work while you've got it out. There's usually some while you're in there's.
There are lots of while you're in there's.
Good old while you're in there's.
Exhibit A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
It's pretty difficult to do with the engine in the car. So some of those items will be addressed while it's out. I've also got some other work we're doing on this vehicle. But this one is a low mileage, very nice example. The owner decided he wanted it to be as perfect as he could, so any little leak or anything he wants addressed. We've got a couple e-gear leaks and the power steering rack. We're gonna get that all taken care of.
That one had new tires on it. One of the last runs of those tires.
What was it, 17 or something?
19s. Good old Roadster cross bracing. Forget what exhaust this was. I know it had Murcielago on it, but I can't remember who it was made by. Well, like I said earlier, it still had its secondary cats, which was not common.
All right, so here we have a look at the engine bay. You can see already how much has been removed to get to this point. So got the whole exhaust section out, catalytic converters, muffler, deck lid. Got that all down here. It's one of the cross members. Got the lower exhaust, the exhaust tip. These are the coolant pipes, as well as the rear sway bar. On the Roadster specifically, you have the support bracing here that has all been removed. That sits on top of the engine. Got all that removed. And then you still have a lot more to go. Got your power steering lines, the air conditioning, those are all set to the side. Got your alternator cooling duct here. You also have our main engine harnesses disconnected, and everything has been removed. Your side panels, rear panels, engine cover. Down here also, we've got the coolant bottle loose. It's your e-gear reservoir here. We've got these fuel lines down here that still need to be removed. A couple breather lines and vacuum lines across the front of the engine. This is where that cross member was sitting, right here. Opens up a lot of space back here to work with. There you can see the rear differential. Like I said earlier, this comes out as a complete unit. So we'll get underneath and show you what's still left to remove before this whole unit can come out.
That car was very nice to work on, yet also terrifying.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't know if it was nice. I'd say terrifying.
What we mean by terrifying is because it was so nice, you have to be extra careful.
Any defect is something you created. It wasn't like that before.
So here we are, the engine of the Rancio Atlas Lamborghini Murcielago. See it up on the left here. Got our transmission off there. Putting a clutch in this while we have the engine out. Just want to show you all. See the
Oh yeah, look at that one. That was a good one. It had all the heat scorching.
Good old e-gear.
My theory is that all they did was drive it around parking lots because the clutch deterioration index, which should not exceed 10,000, was at like 15 or 16,000. Yeah, it did not drive well.
all the hot spots, overheating. See a lot of the clutch material here. Here we took it out, we get lots of fragments of clutch material. See some damage here along the outer edge. While the material,
Look how blue it is too.
not completely gone on
Slick.
this clutch.
It's not gritty at all.
Lamborghinis.
Yeah, that car was real jerky. I will say, E-Gear is pretty fancy in that regard. It can, you know, it measures clutch temperature and slippage time and all kinds of stuff.
So this one's deterioration index was, I think it was 16 or 18,000. They don't want you to have it any more than 10 or so. So we've got a new pilot bearing, throwout bearing, which on the E-Gear cars, just this throwout bearing is about $6,000. Here's your clutch position sensor here. Have a new one of those to go in with this. Clean this all out. You can see the wear, which isn't super uncommon. You know, it's just like a brake pad. It does have friction material that wears and emits dust. Pressure plate here. See some bluing and heat damage. Thought is that this car has just been driven around parking garages, parking lots, so forth. It is very low mileage. It does have excessive wear in the clutch.
This is where the shop supplies fee comes in.
All that cleaning. Nobody wants to pay for that.
No.
Isn't that part of it? The 3 hours it took you to clean that?
My shortening of life expectancy from inhaling brake clean needs some kind of consolation. Torquing down the flywheel bolt retainers, those are a pain.
It's a good idea though.
It is.
That's a warm and fuzzy.
Adds SV here. Just came in for a couple little odds and ends. The support shocks for the trunk and the frunk, the engine compartment, and a TPMS issue. So you've got some front sensor triggers on the way for this one. It's got about a little over 50% clutch life. And this one was at like 90%, which it should be with the little mileage it has on it. And this one was about 45%. So decent on the clutches. So here's the magic everyone says about the Lamborghini computer. You can see what all is involved to do the diagnostic work on these cars. We've got serial connections, a serial interface.
It's, what would you call it, backwards?
I guess primitive.
Yeah, there you go, that's a good word.
Primitive will be what it is.
And how you have to have like 3 different interfaces to talk to different things on the car, specific to Murcielagos. Also, Gallardos have 2 different cables, and there's like 4 different programs depending on what you want to talk to. And even the programs are very kind of cryptic and not intuitive. So compared to what we call Audi-Guinis here at DC is anything post Murcielago Gallardo era, so Aventador, Huracan, that kind of thing, is they use a different program called Otis, which is like VW company wide, and you can talk to Bentleys, Volkswagen, Audi, all the European Seat and stuff like that. And not the case with the older Lamborghinis.
And this computer costs usually around $18,000 plus the yearly subscription fee. So that's why not many shops take on working on these cars, as there is some initial expense involved to be equipped to work on them, especially on the E-Gear cars. If you want to do anything with the clutch or E-Gear system, you need the factory computer to calibrate and do the adaptations for a new clutch or any new E-Gear equipment.
And that's why there are shops that do older Lamborghinis and shops that do Audi-Guinis, because they are very different. Well, that was an interesting look down memory lane. It is always exciting to see what the shop used to look like, and not very long ago either, because it has adapted quite a bit.
How it's evolved. You know.
Yeah, it almost doesn't look the same. So let us know what you think about this style of content. We do have some older footage that is kind of buried and dusty in the archives back there, and we're not quite sure what to do with it. So kind of let us know if you like this idea or have any other ideas. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe button, all those fun things, the notification icon, that's important also. Check out our website, check out our Instagram, Facebook, all of those things. Check out our upcoming events. I know if we get this video out on time, we do have an Oktoberfest event coming up, which is a lot of fun. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next video.